Hello again everyone and welcome back to Skyblock News. I'm your host Derailious and today we're going to be going over some changes to the garden that some may find pretty controversial. Before we begin, make sure to like and subscribe. Use code RAIL on the Hypixel store for 5% off your order. And without any further ado, let's get started. There were only two changes made alongside this update, but I believe both are pretty controversial. The first is that they fixed Dead Crop, Fermento, Squash, Helianthus, and Cropie, rewarding Sowdust and XP when harvested after a growth cycle. So basically, you could put down Cropie all over your plot, wait one growth cycle and harvest it, and it would give you a ton of Sowdust. I was consistently getting over 3 million Sowdust per cycle. It was very, very strong. Fundamentally, I don't think that this is something that is bad to be nerfed. Obviously, it was very, very strong, the strongest method in the game. However, nerfing it without giving us alternative buffs to Sowdust is kind of ridiculous in my view. Personally, I think pests should reward Sowdust, and they probably should increase the amount of it that you get from active farming, and maybe even from some of the higher tier mutations, because right now, the Sowdust grind is extremely slow. If you are not someone who already had 250 million Sowdust by the time of the release of the greenhouse, because they ported a bunch over, you are going to have a lot harder of a time getting Sowdust. And especially if you're a new player, the grind can be absolutely daunting. There needs to be some sort of buff there that allows you to get more of it. The second change is that they've halved the tier 1 mutation drops by roughly 50%. So if you look at Ash Wreath, it's down to 360. If you look at stuff like Scour Root, it's down significantly as well. Same thing with Shadevine, same thing with Veil Shroom, so on and so forth for pretty much every single tier 1. Personally, I think a little bit of a nerf was necessary here. This was an extremely strong money-making method, just ridiculously powerful for the amount of effort that you're putting in. However, once again, it's all about the optics of the situation. It's all about, does this feel like a good change? And I think nerfing the tier 1 mutations so heavily without buffing some of the higher tier mutations is absolutely ridiculous. Some of these higher tier mutations, especially on Iron Man, should be rewarding a whole lot more. They need to take a look at these higher tier mutations and significantly improve the amount of resources you get out of them. Or otherwise, people are going to continue to use these tier 1 mutations because they don't have any growth stages, they don't require them to pay extra attention. There needs to be a reward for the extra effort put in to getting these higher tier drops. Some other possibilities with regard to Sowdust specifically is maybe they could create a Sowdust related chip. This would be really nice. It would allow early game players to have something else to go for in that regard and make the grinds just a little bit better. If they don't want to add a chip, it could be a desk upgrade. There also needs to be some other changes with regard to how growth stages are taken into account with rewards. Some of these higher tier mutations obviously are a lot longer to make in terms of the amount of growth stages. They should probably have their drops buffed pretty significantly to make up for the fact that it's going to take so much longer when compared to a single tier 0 crop that basically has no growth stages at all. I would love to hear what you guys think about this down below. I feel like this is something that should be workshopped and looked at because it is extremely important for the game and its health in the long term, and these nerfs right now don't feel the best. Wrapping up here, I would love to hear your thoughts down below about this update. Much of the reaction that I've seen has been very, very negative, and I can't say I wholly disagree. I think that this is not great, especially considering that they didn't add any other ways to get Sowdust, especially from pests, or buff some of the higher tier mutations. Once again, though, would love to hear your thoughts. Look to the future, fellas. I'll see you then.